Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to talk about how to check if your dice are balanced. Now, sometimes you may want to check to see if your dice are balanced. So, if you're ordering a lot of dice and you want to see if the dice that you have from that manufacturers are good, I'm going to show you some tricks that you can use to check to see if that's the case. There's also different dice types that you might want to consider, and how you're going to be rolling them. So this is just basically if you want to see if your dice are balanced. Sometimes you just have a die there that seems to always roll low numbers or high numbers, and you want to see, like, is this die balanced or is it just my luck or whatnot. You can use these tricks to show if your dice are balanced. Now, the quickest and easiest way to test, but not necessarily the most reliable way to test, is to simply just roll the dice on a flat surface there and try to roll it the same way each time, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but you're going to go ahead and try to roll it the same way each time and write down the numbers and what you're looking for. So on a 20-sided die, you're looking for rolling that 100 or 200 times. You're looking for an even distribution of numbers. So if you're flipping a coin, you would be looking for like 50% of heads or tails. So in a 20-sided die, you're looking for, ish for every 20 rolls to roll the same number. So that is a very loose way of looking at it. And the more that you roll with that method, the more that you will be likely to get the numbers to see if they're balanced. So if you just roll 20 times and you never get a 1, that doesn't mean the die isn't balanced. That just means that, probability, you had a chance of getting a 1, but you didn't necessarily, guarantee. The more that you roll, the more that those probabilities will even out, and you'll see if you roll 1 out of 20 times on average, you're going to get a 1. So that's how that works. And this is also the most annoying because you have to roll that each time. You need to try to roll it the same way. You're not necessarily going to roll it the same way, but that's one way to see if that's that. And if you're playing in a tournament or you're playing D&D, you're not really going to be rolling it the same way. Also, there's a lot of things that you can subconsciously do to affect the odds of the die. Like subconsciously, if you put the 20 in your hand and you roll it a spin fashion, you're going to probably end up in the same number range each time you roll. So there's a lot of things that can happen with that. So try to cover the die so you can't look at it and try to roll it the same way. Now that's the most simplest but most difficult way and most time consuming way. The other way that you can do it is you can use a dice tower. So if you use a dice tower, you're going to try to place it in the same place of the dice tower each time. It's going to be randomized by the dice tower itself and plop out. In the same manner as chucking the die, you're going to be doing this a bunch of times and trying to see if your averages come out right. So for a 6-sided die, you should have 1 out of 6 times should be a 6. But you need to roll it enough to be comfortable with those numbers. So 100, 200 times, whatever. And roll those and you can get those numbers. Those are pretty straightforward. You probably thought of those on your own as methods that you can use to check to see if a die is balanced. Now, there's also going to be a saltwater method. Now, this won't work for metal die, but any plastic die will work, even if the die doesn't float. So I'm going to go down to the table here. I'm going to show you how the saltwater method works, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you some final thoughts on this whole thing here. All right, so this is the third test and the most dedicated test you can have, and that's going to be the saltwater test for testing to see if the die is balanced. Now, you can't these dice are really nice resin bubble-free dice here. That are very thematic from Baron of Dice. So you can't just put them in water because they're heavy. So see, that shrink goes straight to the bottom there. That is on the bottom of that glass. So you can't do that. But what you can do, and this will function for anything else, is you can use science. So objects float in salt water more easily than they do in fresh water. That's why some barge boats can't go into freshwater because they're laden all the way down in saltwater. So if they go in freshwater, they would actually sink, and vice versa. They would even float too much sometimes from freshwater to salt water. Now you can work on this, and you heat this up, and you can notice I add a lot of salt in here. You can work on this over time, so you can actually keep this mixture forever, basically. And you can, the more saline or the more salt that you add to this, the more stuff you can float. Like I can easily even float this gigantic die in salt water, so which is super, super heavy. But that's for this Baron of Dice here. That can go in here, and now that floats. So you can see that that's no floating. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to push it down, and you're going to try to see the numbers that are coming up here. So this one here is just going to basically use the water to bring up different numbers here, and you're going to write these numbers down. And what you're looking for is the same thing here. You're looking for different numbers to come up, and you're looking to do enough of this to get a good sampling of what comes up. And just as a spoiler here, I tested this dice in all three methods, and this one being the most accurate method. This die came up extremely well balanced. So I'm very happy with this die, and I will definitely be using Baron dice more in the future here, just because of how well they're made. I did a lot of other dice here, and especially even with the dice that I got from the Dollar Tree, which were actually very bad. You can tell if you do this trick pretty easily between bad dice and good dice. So that was really cool. So this is the saltwater method here. And again, you can continually work on this. So you heat this back up, you can get more of that salt dissolved, and you can basically float just about anything eventually in salt water. So that's a cool trick. It's a neat trick to show the kids too. A nice little science trick. But let's go back up table here, and we'll keep on talking about dice. All right, so some final thoughts on this whole thing here. When you are doing this, you're going to really want to know whether the dice are balanced. So you're going to be going all out on that. Now, there's a couple different die types to think about, and mainly the big one I'm going to look at is whether it has a sharp edge or it doesn't. These ones actually have a sharp edge. Any sharp edge dice on there, if you really want to see if they're balanced, I highly recommend using the saltwater method. And these dice on the sharp edge ones go to abrupt stops when you roll. So you're going to probably want to roll more to get your averages necessarily than the smooth dice are just going to keep on rolling, or a smooth edge dice. So that's one consideration on here. And again, like this is, you could maybe consider this slightly ridiculous, but like I said, if you're really into dice and you're going to be doing like a large amount of purchasing of dice, and you like a specific manufacturer, then you may want to check a couple of dice to see if they're pretty well balanced, and the manufacturing process that company uses is really good, and their quality control is up there too. So that's a couple considerations for this. If you're just angry that your die seems to roll all 20s and 1s, and you're just dying to know whether that is you or the die, there's another way that you can test to see if that's the case. Either way, those are 3 different methods that you can use to see if your die is balanced or not. And I hope that was informative. I hope that you can find some dice that you really like and you hang on to. For me, I like this Baron dice set, and I have some others for getting into Warhammer, and some really nice dice for them too. So thanks again for Baron of Dice for sending us this dice that we can use for this experiment. And thank you guys for watching, and you all have a good day.